welcome to this week's episode of the Tea Please Nice podcast. My name is Tracy and I'm coming from you from Plymouth, Devon in the UK, and today is the 15th of March 2017. Welcome to all my returning viewers and those that are just stumbling across me. Hello! Nice to have you take a little bit of time out of your busy days with me. I don't normally record on a Wednesday. It would normally be of a weekend, but at the moment I'm on annual leave. We've been out this morning and done a couple of things. Bought some new clothing that was desperately needed. Because I work in work uniform a lot of the time, I tend not to buy too much clothing, but really should. So we've been out and done that this morning. This week, this episode is going to be called the flibbertigibbet, because I haven't been able to settle on doing anything at all really this week. Before I get into things, I must say I'm Tea Plays Nice on Ravelry Instagram. I have got a Ravelry group that goes with this podcast, but it's under Ocean Creations, which is my indie dyeing yarn business that I'm just about to set up, and I'm getting in the process of setting up a page on Ravelry for the indie dyed yarn, and I'm also starting to design little patterns like socks and shawls, but more of that will come up in future episodes, I'm sure. So that being said, so why the flibbertigibbet? As I said, I'm on annual leave and I really haven't been able to settle on things. I wanted to get so much done this week, and we're already on Wednesday. I return to work on Monday. Can't see me getting everything I want done, but I'm hoping. I've got one more planned day out with the husband because I promised I would do some day trips. Spent all day yesterday with my mum shopping, but again it was mother-daughter. I'm not sure how much time I'll be spending with her on Mother's Day this year in the UK. Our Mother's Day is in March and it's in a couple of weeks, so I took mum out for a 3-course lunch and bought her some clothes, so at least that part is done. Obviously if I'm around I will try and see her on the day as well. So yeah, I did that. I'm kind of like trying to get things done on the knitting and designing and yarn dyeing front, but I think because I want to do so much of everything, I'm kind of like skipping around a little bit too much, not really achieving anything great. But I've also kind of like settled on where I like to look in my attire and what I'm trying to organise my wardrobe in future, so that if I do knit projects it will blend in with my wardrobe. Now, when I was growing up I very much was the 80s girl, fashion, into the fashion of the time, with the little kit pleat skirts, long skirts, stiletto heels, that type of thing, very much fashion. Then I went through a phase where I like to be a bit hippie chic. I still like that, but I'm finding as I'm getting more mature, shall we say, in my years, I'm tending to go towards, I like to be very classically dressed if I'm going out, so smart trousers, but I also am struggling at the moment to find a casual look. But I seem to be, whether it's because of Ocean Creations or what have you, I'm tending to find I'm going very much the nautical look. I like in stripes at the moment and things like that, and I've kind of like settled if I stick around the navies and the greys, then I can add my knits into that and pastels. So that's what I'm hoping to do. So that brings us up to date on a lot of that. I am going to try and get some structure, not structure because I am kind of like fly by the seat of my pants type of girl. When I do the podcast I don't have show notes. I tend to edit the podcast and write things down as I'm going when I'm doing that process to try and do show notes that way. So I will be trying to get a format in future when I'm back to work, but as I say, at the moment I didn't even think I was going to get podcast time this week, so I am. So this is kind of like as is, ad hoc, what I talk about is what I talk about. So podcasts I've watched this week, I had a lot of sulks and tantrums this week because everybody and their dog, it appears, has been to Edinburgh Yarn Festival. I would dearly love to have gone there. I was fortunate for many years to demonstrate and work at the Corn Exchange in Edinburgh for papercraft when art stamp shows used to come up there. And I would be on the door selling tickets, and I would be doing demonstrations and organising workshops. So to actually see one of my old haunts buzzing with knitwear and all the people I love to watch on podcast and not be able to get there was a little bit of a kick in the gut. But next year I'm hoping to be there. Really love seeing everybody's works. It was lovely to see Tilly Trout. It was lovely to see her on some people's vlogs and on photos on Instagram. And it was just lovely, really. Claire of Beautiful Things. I did enjoy watching hers. I'm hopefully going to sit down a little bit later on to watch Katie from Inside Number 23 and see her podcast. I think it was uploaded earlier this morning. So yeah, I have been watching Two Tangled Skeins I've watched this week. That was lovely to see, lots going on there. And of course Selma was across to Edinburgh Yarn Festival as well. So I hope you all had a fantastic time. I know Yarn East, is it Yarn? There's a festival coming up in April. I think it's Milton Keynes Way. Don't quote me on that, I might be totally off, but I would like to see if I can get a long weekend and pop along to that one. If not, Edinburgh Yarn Festival is definitely a go for me next year. I don't care if I'm on my own when I go or whatever, but yes, I want to go next year to Edinburgh Yarn Festival. I would just like to say and send huge hugs to Knitting Den, Denise, who's a podcaster. My thoughts have been with you this week. I totally understand why you haven't podcast for 3 weeks. Just sending you hugs and take care of yourself. You'll know why. Yeah, but it was nice to watch your podcast this morning and see your smiling face back. So without any more interruptions, what have I been up to this week on the knitting side? Well, I was knitting a pair of socks, designing a pair of socks with my fab collection, my Have a Fab celebration yarn, and I saw a squirrel and I kind of frogged it, and I was going to start knitting again with the same yarn, and then I dyed up my sugar candy yarn and I thought, oh, I'll design the socks with that. So I've been knitting on them. But the Barbican base that I've dyed up is a high twist. It is a very light fingering yarn. I'm not sure I'll be stocking it again, to be honest with you. I love it. It's really nice. Stitch definition is lovely. But as a 4-ply, I think it could go either for lightweight fingering, possibly heavy lace. It's perfect for socks. There's nothing wrong with it. I don't want to show you the front side because I am designing a pattern. I don't know if you're going to be able to see. So this is the sugar candy as it knits up, and that is on the high twist. Okay, so it is creating. I've actually had to go down a needle size. I normally do 2.5 mil, and I've gone down to get a fabric I like. I've gone down to a 2.25. I haven't increased my stitch count. Whether that is going to be a problem for me remains to be seen, but it does stretch quite nicely, so I'm not thinking it's going to be a huge problem, apart from the material. As I can say, you can see how light a material that is actually making. But that's the Barbican base. But it was a test. I am still getting used to doing my bases and finding out which bases I really like. I have got some BFL that I'm open to dye, and I've got bronze sparkling, I've got gold sparkling, and I've got a silver sparkling. So I'm hoping to do some dye. I am hoping to get some dyeing done. So that's one of the things I've been working on this week. As I say, that's my own pattern sock, so I can't share the pattern with you at the moment. It's quite a nice simple one. It's nearly complete. I've knitted a whole sock in another colourway. More of that later. And I just want to check a couple of things with it and then write up, because the only thing with the new designs I'm doing, there will be a variation, a slight variation in the way you knit them when it comes to a 56 count or a, what do I do, 64, 68, whatever count, stitch count you like to do. But the beauty of this pattern is, as long as you've got an even number of stitches, you could do this pattern quite easily, which I quite like, because sometimes it's like I said, that's a light fingering, so I needed to increase my stitches. And sometimes some of the patterns out there, if you increase your stitches, they're not going to fit in. If I only needed to increase, say, 3 stitches, they're not going to. Do you get what I'm trying to say? I'm being a bit dodgy, aren't I? I know what I mean, and I'm sure you do too. So that was that. I've also been working on something else I've been playing with. I'm going to talk about another one that I've been playing. Sorry, it's all tangled. I've just picked it up from the bedroom. Right, this is, again, it's another one of my yarns, and I treated myself to a proper ball winder. And this is my Pilgrim base, I believe. And this is Reggae, Reggae, Reggae. That's coming out really quite brighter because of the light behind the camera, but you can see it's the Reggae, Reggae, and it's got all the mixed colours in. Now, on this, I'm liking how it's knitting up. Again, I don't want to show too much because I'm sorry, I'm blowing out because of the lighting. It's really bad, but it's quite a dark, dismal day here today. So I'm going to show you maybe the back side, just so you can show you that. Okay, so this is where I'm going. So this is how the Reggae, Reggae, Reggae is knitting up. And I am actually working on a shawl design. But what I'm actually doing is I'm just going to literally work it in the Reggae, Reggae. I'm not bringing in any other colour yarns as of yet, because I just want to get a basic and say, okay, this is going to be one skein of yarn project. So people that only want to use one skein of yarn, only use one skein of yarn. But then I want to be able to give you the option of dividing down and changing colours if you'd like to. So there's that one as well. So that's the Reggae, Reggae. Unfortunately, at the moment, Sugar Candy's not in the shop, but it will be hopefully by the weekend, because it did sell out. I'm hoping I need to do one up for the prize again, because I sold the prize one. But I'm hoping to have more of that, and I am going to actually try and do it on my BFL base, or maybe my Silver Sparkle base. But I've actually got a plan. I like the colours that I've used on that one, so I'm actually thinking of a plan, something I'm going to show you in a minute, that I've learned how to do this week, of using the colours of that with another mini skein to match. So that's my smug mug. So yeah, so I can bring you a lot more variations of things in the future using the same colours. So that's Reggae, Reggae. As I was saying, my sock pile is growing. That's this year's socks, but I've shown all these up to now, so I'm quite happy that my sock pile is growing. The other thing I'm working on is my Finlagan cardigan by Kate Davies, and yeah, you would. I've stopped midway through a row. I've got all my yarns in a bundle here, so they're all not in. I'm going to have to sit and sort this out in a minute, because I've just literally picked them up to bring them in the room, and a lot of this has been beside the bed at the moment for me to knit on, and it's all got a little bit tangled because I've just picked up in a rush, because it was either make some bags, do some designing, do some dyeing, do some knitting, look for more patterns for knitting, or do a podcast. And the podcast one out, because I don't know, as I say, when I'll get to do another one. I was hoping to get back to doing weekend scheduling this weekend, but that's going to be my last time off before work restarts, and I just wanted to chill a little bit. So I'm sorry, this is midway through a row. I've got tangled yarns. Oh, what am I like? Do excuse me just a moment. I'm going to try and sort this out. So just talk amongst yourselves. No, I'm not going to be able to, because I've knotted it with something else on the side now. Because I'm good like that. I'm nearly there. I'm getting there, peeps. Honestly, call yourself a professional woman. What are you like? One day when I grow up, I'm going to be able to do slick podcasting like some of the lovely podcasters out there managed to do. So yeah, that's right. That's reggae, all intertwined. And now I'm doing. That's why I'm getting a mess. I've got cable needles because I've got pockets on wires all hanging, doing nothing until I get to that stage. So it's all one big circle at the moment. So this is the finlagen. So I managed to get the rib done last time we spoke. Okay, so I managed to get the rib done last time, and I've done this much more. Again, it's the sides, the back, the left, the front and the back, all are done in one. So you can see the pattern is starting to come, which is little hearts. So you got hearts. Hang on, I'm trying to find, that's part of the back. So you start there, you've got your pattern, and you've got this piece, but you've got your pocket behind ready to go in. When you knit up so far, you can then join your pocket in, and you go along, and you've got, then you go towards the back, you've got the pattern again in the center back, and then you keep going around until you get again your next pocket and your next panel of patterning. So that's Kate Davies Finlagen. I can actually show you what that is going to look like when it's finished now, because I have got my eyelay book. I love Kate Davies, I have to say it. I know, the lovely Amy from Stranded podcast, she's going to be doing a knit along in April, and it's all about using, sorry, I'm cutting my head off. It's all about using British indie dyers. Now I'm going to be partaking, and I'm also going to be offering up a prize. I have to sort that out and get it across to Amy yet, but I am going to be offering a skein of yarn, and I've decided I will probably knit something from either one of the other of Kate's design books or this one. So I was fortunate enough to subscribe. Some of the photography in this book. I was fortunate to subscribe to the RILA book. It was a pattern release, and we had a pattern every week for 12 weeks. And I just thought that was a lovely idea. And then once you'd had your 12 weeks, you not only did you get the downloadable patterns, you got the book. You actually got the hard copy book. And I just think that is wonderful customer service, because I can print off the patterns in Scribble, and then I've got a perfect book for other times. So this is, I don't know, the Finlagen cardigan. This is the one I'm knitting. Now, I've got a bit of a problem. I always seem to knit up cream when it's for myself. So that's the back. So she does the socks because she knitted that for her wedding and she knitted the socks for her groom. And there's a lovely hat. I'm not going to show you everything because all the patterns are on Ravelry, so you can pop across and have a look. I'm sorry I am looking quite blown out. I keep thinking, oh, is that really me? But yeah, I do look a bit blown out and a little bit close but far away. I don't know, I can never get this camera set up properly. But this is the one I want to knit. I'm going to change the colour slightly. I don't know if I'll be doing this one for Amy's knit along, but I've just got to crack on because I really want to do it. And it's the, I don't know how to pronounce it, Oa hoodie? Oa hoodie? Sounds about right. The Oa hoodie. It is colour work. It's beautiful, isn't it? But I'm struggling a little bit with the positive ease because I'm quite a... I lost a lot of weight a few years ago and I've put it all back on, and I've said that before on the podcast, but I'm slightly larger and I've got a large bust, and I'm always a bit concerned with knitting patterns on. I always end up doing the larger sizes. And when they start talking about knit with positive ease, to me it's a case of, well, is the positive ease already in it? So if I'm a size, for instance, 42 bust, do I do one that's a 45-inch bust if it's 3-inch of positive ease? Do I then knit the 45-inch bust size to get the 3-inch of positive ease? Or have they already counted that into the pattern? I'm just trying to see if she actually... Ooh, might not be doing that pattern because it's steeking in and I've not steeked before. But then I do an afterthought heel. I know afterthought heel's that way and a steek's that way. Well, I might have to read that one, but... yeah, I recommend this garment is worn with at least 3-inch and up to 6-inch of positive ease at the chest. So she's wearing it with 4-inch. So I would say if I'm a 42, I need to do a 48. So I would go up 2 sizes to get the ease. Does that make sense? Paul, can you let me know, please? And or I bought the book wanting to do the Finlagan, and then the Oa hoodie caught me, if that's what it's called. But then I was seeing things at Edinburgh Yarn Festival. Kate Davies was actually there. I didn't get to go, so I didn't get to see. But she was wearing the Port Charlotte jumper. I just think that's going to be a must-have. Not in the bright colours that she's got. But I'm really tempted to take out my Finlagan and cast on... I'm trying to find the Port Charlotte. I don't know what's making me, because we're going into warmer weather. We live in the UK, we don't get warm weather. We're going into milder weather, but this is warmer. It's like, it's almost like an Aran weight, worsted weight Aran weight. And I was hoping to start doing fingering weight jumpers now. But anyway, that's what I've been working on, and that was one of my stash enhancements this week. I still haven't gotten sat and looked through that properly. So, what else? How are we doing time? God, I've just put it on for 25 minutes, like nothing already. So during the week, or last week, I set hubby a task of making me a yarn warp, because I really was fascinated by how people do self-striping yarns. Now, I've been dyeing up yarns with the half the skein done in one colour and then little bits like that, and I realise that gives me more variegated, so it knits up like that one. So it is, although you get a little block of the main colour, then you get the variegated, then you get a little block. So although it's not striping, it gives you a mould effect in my eyes. So I set husband a task and he built me, I'm not going to be able to get it in, but he built me, if I go that way, a warping board. Poor guy. I went on the internet and saw little instructions and I went, that's what I want. And he was like, well, what size is it? And I said, well, do it so it's a metre, because I didn't realise it was a yard that I was looking at, so I said do it a metre, and he's done it. And then we worked out how far to do the holes apart. That was quite easy because that was done in inches, so that wasn't too bad to work out. So I've basically got eight pegs one side, a metre, 8 pegs the other side, and I've got a couple of pegs up the top so I can loosen it off when I need to start taking it off. So I thought that's fine, and then I started to wind. My first attempt. And I ended up with a bit of a yarn bath that I'm going to sort out later, because I was wrapping it all around and I thought, now I know it's supposed to be one big loop. You're taking your skein of yarn and you're taking it from this, for instance, from this size to that size, and it's still a big loop. The way I was winding it was not going to give me that one big loop, so that came off and obviously it just tangled. So I'm patiently gonna, when I'm not up to knitting or I'm watching a film, I'm just gonna sit and untangle. So I thought, right, I'll try it again. Number 2. So I got another skein of the same yarn. Didn't start from the other end of that one. Didn't think sensibly enough, oh, I'll just go to the other end. No, I opened up another skein of plain yarn and I wound it and I thought, yeah, this is going to work. This is going to give me my big loop. And then I went to tie it off. Now, I tied off the ends, as I thought you should, and I did my figure of 8s, as I thought you should. And then I took it off. Yeah, you don't do the figure of 8s, because if you do it as good as I was doing it to hold it in place, you still don't get your big loop because you've literally tied all these together, so it's not a loop, which is ideal if you're going to dye the sections, but to actually get it on and off the loom was a nightmare. So at this point I was tantruming and I was crying and I was not a happy girl, but I walked away. And I just kind of thought, I'm not going to do it, I'm not going to bother, it doesn't matter, nobody knows. Apart from the fact that hubby knew because he built me the warping board and he bought the wood for the warping board. So I couldn't really say I'm not going to bother, could I? So I gave it one last go and I went onto Pinterest, funnily enough, and I found the direction on how to warp. and it's kind of, I can't do that chain thing that they go on about doing, you know, taking it off and chaining it like you do crochet. But that was fine with me, because once I'd got it off, it was kind of like, the way I'd knotted it wasn't too bad. So I kind of got it on there, and luckily for me it told you how to knot it on this little link on Pinterest as well. And so I was very, very happy with that. And I thought, right, now I'm going to dye. Now, I don't know if anybody else is like me. When I set my mind to do something, I'm not right, we are going to plan this. We are going to do this. We're going to get the yarn ready, and then we're going to work out the colours that we want, so it's all perfect and pretty, and we'll plan. And no, I'm a bull in a china shop. I have to, oh, I've wound it. Oh, I've got it off. Oh, I need to dye it now. And then I got my colours, and I thought, right, I don't want to faff with mixing new colours. I'm just going to use colours that I have, that I can use straight from the pots. And I thought, oh, those 4 colours are, although bright, and it's on a sparkly, will be really bright. But enough. And I realised once I'd started knitting it, you'll see in a moment, once I started knitting it, 2 of the colours, although they don't look the same separately, when they're together they blend quite well. So that's a little bit of a but for my first attempt I'm really happy. So again, with my new fancy ball winder, I wound it up. Now I won't be repeating this particular skein. The colours you might see in future, but not in this order because of the 2 colours. But I'm not even sure I'll keep all the 4 colours together unless it's asked for, making sure I don't put the 2 together so closely. Now, this is how it's knitted up. Smug face. Okay. This is my new pattern that's going to be coming out, and it's going to be coming out in the next couple of weeks. And I must start following my own pattern, because I do it and then I go, yeah, that's about so many rows, and then I do the next bit and that's about so many rows, and then it is written down and it does work out. My rows I need are right, and for the leg and that. I've done an afterthought heel, but in the pattern I will give you the option of doing a heel and gusset. I always put the heel and gusset in, because I think for people that don't like doing the afterthought heel, they've got the heel and gusset version in there. For those that like to do the afterthought heel, you all know it's just ignoring that and just knitting down through anyway. So I don't tend to put the afterthought heel in, because it is a paid for pattern on Ravelry. So if you need to know how to do the afterthought heel, there are several versions on Ravelry. And I think it's only something like £1 to purchase the afterthought heel. I don't think it's much at all. So this is, I'm trying not to show too much of the pattern. You're going to see it anyway. But this is my stripy socks. So you can see here, there is actually an orange colour and a salmon colour in there, and then we've got a teal, and then we've got the yellow, and they are actually sparkly. I'm not going to know if you're going to be able to pick that up, but they are actually sparkly. So there you go, you can kind of like see my stripes there, and I'm really, really pleased, guys, with how, for my first attempt at self-striping, they're coming out roughly 5 rows. 5 rows each. So I'm really quite pleased with that. And I also know now how many rows. I think it was 4 rows on there made 5 rows on my sock. So I know if I want to play with the depth of my rows, how to do it roughly on there now. So I'm really quite happy with myself striping. So, I also spoke last week of dyeing up another yarn. Can't remember if I showed you Trago on the podcast last week, so I'm going to show it again. I'm sure I did, but I think it was a little bit damp. It's dry now, and Trago, and it was quite funny because I don't know if I told the story of Trago was where I used to go when I was a child with my mum and dad, and it's like a big discount store where you could buy cheap fashion clothes. You can buy DIY equipment, car equipment, painting and decorating, and so and there's a garden centre, and as well they've got a bit of haberdashery, paper craft stuff. They've got a garden centre, they've got restaurants there, well, restaurants, cafes, greasy spoon type ones. They did used to have like arcade areas. I know the one at Newton Abbot where we went, they are building the arcade back in. And I was just saying that whenever we went there, for some random reason, they've got peacocks. I know they've got 2 in Cornwall, Liscard, somewhere else, Newton Abbot, and I think they're building one somewhere in Wales. But whenever we went there, they had peacocks. So peacocks, and this is Trago. This is actually called Trago, and I think, yeah, I got a feeling this is on my high twist, but I will be dyeing it up on either my BFL or my MCN base, or maybe one of the sparkles. But at the moment, that's in the shop, and that's Trago. So that's that. I don't think I've got much else to talk to you about other than to show you quickly some fabrics I have that I'm going to be playing with. I'm aiming and aiming on making some bags for the shop. Okay, and I've got this one. I like that. It was just not what I was going to buy at all. I was going off with the intention of buying fabric to match a yarn with that I will dye, and that is going to be for the Amy. But then I saw that and it was like, squirrel again. I did try to make a bag, and I say try. So I've got the hand though with the little dude. That's a little bit long for me, if I'm honest. I think that's a little bit long. No, I'm not quite sure, but I just think I'm not happy with that. So that's the little bag I've done. I did a contrasting base, and it opens up, and I've done the zip. So I kind of like put the zip in. I don't know how you guys put zips in. I put the zip in. It all works, and it's fine. It's perfectly proportioned, and I just put a plain yellow on the inside. And I was happy with it. So you got your kitty. I made sure I fussy cut so you had the kitty at the front, and you've got just normal kitties on the back, but the kitty with the bulbs is at the front. And I was thinking, right, every bag that I make will have at least one kitty with his knitting. And then I looked at that, and to be fair, even my husband looked at it, he said, why have you made one with a zip? You don't use zipper bags. Because I'm afraid of catching the yarn in the zipper. Lots of people use them, and they're beautiful, beautiful bags. But as I say, bull in the china shop, I'd put my yarn in there, and I know I'd catch yarn in that zipper. So I tend to like the drawstring ones. So I'm going to try and work on some drawstring ones. But I have got that one, and I don't know whether to keep it for myself or sell it at the moment. If I do decide to sell it, it'll be at a reduced rate because it's a one-off. And it was a trial bag, really. It's quite big. You know, it's easiest a sock project. Maybe a little shawl or a little kerchief. So that's that one. Then I went off again with the intention of buying, I know roughly what I want to do in my head for Amy's, and I'm trying to look for fabric, and I can't find fabric any diddly wear that is striking me. Sorry, I'm looking. I kind of like got round to sewing up another bag, and again I did a zipper, and again it was raised. You don't like zippers, and I'm really not happy with this one because this is a thicker fabric. Everything's lining up fine, you know, everything's lining up where it should be, and I think I might have a problem with the tension on my sewing machine. And again I did the little doohickey thing, but look, sheepsies, sheepsies. So I was thinking of doing that, but on that one I just did the plain inside. But there's a mess inside the bottom of that one. So that was my trial. Those ones, drawstring bags, I can do no problem. These ones, all goes to pot. So yes, I've got the sheep fabric. I've got plenty of that, and I'm going to make some more. And it's a nice thick cotton. And then I had cut this one out ready to make a bag. I've already got socks planned for this one, and I've got stripy socks planned, and I've got speckled socks planned, and I've also got heels and toes and cuffs planned. Look at that. Isn't that the cutest little... No, I don't do. I'm not an owl fan. When all the owls were everywhere, I was like, I don't get it. And I'm not really, I can't say I'm a person that if I like a fox, I've got to have foxes everywhere. I'm not that type of person. I'm not swayed by trends and things like that quite so much. I loved looking at everybody's Find Your Fades. Never tempted to do it at all. I think it is partly because I could tell it was going to be too big for me. And partly because I always miss the boat. It's kind of like every time I think, ooh, everybody's done it and they've finished and they've moved on to the next thing. So the Find Your Fade never did it for me. And as I was saying, tangent. I don't pick up fabric just because it's got something on it that I know people tend to like. I pick up fabric that I like, that I think, oh, actually that might sell, that is quite nice, but I quite like that. And I think, to be honest, it wasn't just the fact that it was a fox on there, it was the fact that it was natural. Although he's a cute fox and these are cute-ish owls, and I love, you know, you've got the little snail and you've got the little hedgehog. It's the colours they've used in that. And I look and I think, I'd like that in socks. So, that's the bags that I'm thinking of doing. I think that's about it for today. I've nattered on for nearly 45 minutes. As I say, if you want to come along into the group, please come along and join us on the Ravelry group. We're very, very quiet because, as I say, I did do podcasts a couple of years ago. It was picking up and then things went a little bit wrong at home and I stopped. I had to get everything settled again at home. So I've restarted. People are coming along and joining us again, which is lovely. I'm quite happy for people to dibble dip. I am going to be running a cow soon. I'm just trying to figure out which one to do. I think I was going to do a Brit designer one alongside Amy's. So Amy's doing British indie dyers, and I was thinking of doing British designers. So we had to knit something by a British designer. It could, as long as it took over 100 grams. Long socks were fine. I wouldn't let shorty socks, but if it was long socks, that would be fine because I want it as close to 100 gram as possible. So let me think what you would think on that. Would you like to do something with British designers? Or if there's a particular designer that a lot of people in my group say, actually, should we do this as a knit along or crochet along? I'm open to offers, or if any designers out there want to turn around to me if I am fortunate enough for any designers to be watching this and they say, I'm doing a new release, would you consider this one for a knit along? I'd be up for that. Of course I would. So please get in touch. Like the like button if you've enjoyed watching the podcast. If not, don't worry about it. There's plenty more to see on other people's. And I hope that you tune in again next time when I sit down to spend time with you. And I hope you all have a lovely, lovely weekend coming up on whatever you're planning to do, be it on your own, crafting, or with family and friends. So until next time, bye.